Hello all, in this session, we'll be learning a bit about Gremlin server. We'll see why we should use Gremlin server, how we can configure Gremlin server on local, start a Gremlin server on local, and connect to a Gremlin server via Gremlin console. Now let's get started with the session. So why we need a Gremlin server? In the most real world use cases, queries to a database will not run from the exact same server the data is stored on. To understand this, just see the diagram below. In the first use case, what we have is, we have host A, that is only server we have running an application, and the database is also on the same host. So this cannot be the use case all the time. In the most real world use cases, we have this kind of scenario. That is, we have two hosts, that is host A and host B. In the host A, we are running our application and the data used by this particular application is here. So in these kinds of scenario, we require a Gremlin server, using which we can get the data remotely from host B to host A. I think now we are clear with what is the use of Gremlin server. Now let's see how we can configure a Gremlin server. To configure a Gremlin server, we need to check or configure these files. All these files are located in the distribution that we downloaded in the last session. The first file that we need to configure is gremlinserver.yml. It is located into conf gremlin server directory. This file constitutes of all the configuration that we need to provide to a Gremlin server to connect to a graph database and make us use that graph database remotely. These two files here are internally used by this gremlin server.yml file. The first one is Janus graph in-memory properties. What this property file defines is, this property file defines how we need to connect to a graph, or we can say that this particular file helps us to create a graph object. And this here is simply a Groovy script which is executed every time when we try to connect to a Gremlin server using a Gremlin console. And what it do is, it provides us a G, that is a traversal variable, to traverse the whole graph through the Gremlin console. And remote.yml is just a file which is used by client, that is Gremlin console, to talk to Gremlin server. Let's see all the configurations of these files one by one and try to understand how this works. This is a simple snap of gremlin server.yml. Let's see the properties it have in it one by one. The first one is the host. Here we put the IP of our host on which we want to host our Gremlin server. As of now it is 0.0.0.0. This is just a binding address for localhost, but we can put any IP here. The second property is the port on which the Gremlin server will be listening. The default port is 8182. The next main thing to see here is this, graphs. We can define multiple graphs in here. As of now we have defined one. And to define a graph, what we do is we provide a property file which constitutes the connectivity information, which in turn leads Gremlin server to create a graph object and make it understand that how it need to connect to the database. As of now I am using an in-memory configuration. That is, all the data will be stored in memory, that is the Java heap space. The next property to see here is the plugins. We can define as many plugins as we need for our configuration. The main required plugin is this script file. What this script file is doing is, this script file is run or executed every time we try to connect to a Gremlin server using a Gremlin console. And this will create a traversal object for us to traverse the graph remotely. Just give you a clear understanding and more context how these things are working. Let's see specifically what are the roles of all these three configuration property files. As of now, we saw three property files. The first one was gremlinserver.yml. The second one was Janus graph in-memory.properties. And the third one was empty-sample.groovy. The first file here is used to configure the Gremlin server. And what main configuration does it have? The first one is host, second one is port, third one is DB connection info, which is provided using this Janus graph in-memory properties. Or more specifically, it can be any property file having connectivity information. Let's understand the role of these two first, and then we'll go to the third one. Let's assume this is a Gremlin server. And this is the database where we have kept the data. And let's say the server is running on host A. and listening on port P of this host. And now this server needs to connect to this particular DB. It can be on the same host A or any other host B. This DB can be HBase, can be Cassandra, or can be a Barclay DB. All these things combinedly is configured or defined in this gremlin server.yml. That what host it is hosted on, what port it is listening to, what database it needs to connect. And here this second file is working as a dynamic component defined in gremlin server.yml, which defines the database connectivity information. As it can be anything, it can be HBase, it can be Cassandra, it can be Barclay DB, it can be on any host. So this particular information is defined in this, which is in turn used by this gremlin server.yml. Now let's see the use of this third file here. And for that, let's just add a component in our diagram below. Let's suppose we need to connect this particular server using a console, specifically Gremlin console. Let's try to think for a second how we can connect this console to this server. What all things we may require to connect this? Firstly, we may require the host. Secondly, we may require the port where the Gremlin server is hosted. So these information should also be present with this Gremlin console. And for that, we require a file called remote.yml. Using this remote.yml, we try to connect this Gremlin console to this server. And when this particular connection happens, a script is run or a script is executed, which is our third file here, that is empty sample.groovy, which is also defined in gremlin server.yml. What this script does is, this script uses a graph object which is present in this server to create a traversal object G and provide this particular traversal object to us in this console to query the graph. Now let's see this configuration files and the configuration inside those. Let's start from this, that is Janus in-memory.properties. Janus graph in-memory.property has two configurations. First one is gremlin.graph and the second one is the storage backend. This is just a kind of graph that we need to connect. That is a kind of factory which is used to build the graph object. And the second thing here is we are trying to configure a storage backend. Here the storage backend can be HBase, Cassandra, etc. We can even see all the shorthands that can be provided here in the comment section. That is Barclay JE, Cassandra Swift, Cassandra. We can configure all these as a storage backends. We will see some of these connections and some of these configurations in future sessions. As of now, I just want to use in-memory configuration. Let's move ahead to the next configuration file. This is an empty sample.groovy file. Just to understand this, just see the last line of this. What this line is doing is just using the graph object and running a graph.traversal method in it, in turns creating a graph traversal object and putting that in G. And we can use this particular G from the Gremlin console to fire the queries on the server, or we can say to transfer the queries in the server, which in turns query the database and provides us the result. Let's move ahead to the next configuration file, that is remote.yml. This file is used by the Gremlin console to connect to the server, and we can understand this using this configuration also. The first configuration here is the host. This is the host of the Gremlin server on which the Gremlin server is hosted. As of now, we are hosting it locally, so we have put localhost here, but you can put any IP here. The port that we are using is 8182. This is the port on which the Gremlin server is listening. And the third one is the serializer. As we know that just to transfer one object over the network from A host to B, we need to serialize this object. So this is just a configuration in which we are providing the class name of the serializer, that is the kind of serializer we want to use, which in turn is taking a configuration, that is, do we need to serialize the result to string or not? And we can provide a boolean here, that is true or false. Now enough of these configurations. Now let's see how to start a Gremlin server. We can start a Gremlin server using gremlin server.sh file. This file is located into the bin directory under the distribution. And start is just the argument that we are providing to this sh file. As we can see here is, we can use this particular command in two variants. This is the first one in which we are not providing any configuration. That is, it will use the default configuration. And what do I mean by the default configuration? That is gremlin server.yml located in conf gremlin server will be used for this by default. But in the second variant of the command, we can provide a YML, or specifically we can provide the specific path of the YML we need to use. Now let's go to the terminal and let's start the Gremlin server. Ctrl+Alt+T to open the terminal. Let me just increase the font size. Let's go to the distribution. Firstly, let's check all the configuration files. The first one was gremlin server.yml located in conf gremlin server. The host is bind to the localhost, port is 8182. Take 3. The property that we are using is janusgraph in-memory.properties located in conf. The script file that we are using is empty-sample.groovy located in scripts. Now let's see this janusgraph in-memory property file located in conf janusgraph in-memory.properties, having two properties. First one is gremlin graph and second one is storage backend. Let's check the third one now, located in scripts. Is creating a traversal variable and assigning it to G. Now let's see the remote.yml located in conf, having localhost as the host, port as 8182 and serializer as gyro message serializer version 3D0. Now let's start the Gremlin server without wasting any time. Using bin gremlin server.sh start. We can see that Gremlin server is started with 7443 as a process ID of Ubuntu. We can also check the same in the logs. Which is located in logs gremlin server.log. It says that Gremlin server configuration is working and channel is started at port 8182. Let's leave this log file open and go to the another terminal to connect this server as a client via Gremlin console. Let's connect to the Gremlin console using bin gremlin.sh. Let me just increase the font size here also. Now the client is ready. So from this client, if we need to connect to the Gremlin server, we need to use the remote.yml file. Take 2. Let's go back to the slides and see how we can do that. So these are the steps that shows how we can connect to a Gremlin server remotely without a session. We will understand the difference between with session and without a session in a bit. As of now, let's just see the steps and try to connect to a Gremlin server using the Gremlin console. The first step is to open the Gremlin console that we just did. The second command here is that we need to fire on the Gremlin console, that is remote connect to Tinkerpop server, and the configuration file that we need to use, that is remote.yml. So remote connect here is telling the Gremlin console to connect to a Tinkerpop server, that is Gremlin server, using this particular remote.yml file. Now till this step, Gremlin console here has established the connection to the Gremlin server. The third step is just a mode. It is an optional step. What this particular command is doing is, this command is just providing or shifting Gremlin console mode from local to remote. That is, if we fire this command and we try to fire any query, any Gremlin query after this, all these queries will be directly transferred or directly given to the server. But if we don't fire this particular thing, what we need to do is we need to use this prefix just before the query. And this prefix is telling us that this particular query that we have given here is required to send on the server. This is a simple query just to create a vertex. And the last thing is just to remote close. Now let's just try to follow these steps on our Gremlin server. The first step was just to establish the remote connection using remote connect. Thinkerpop.server using this particular file, that is remote.yml, located into conf. Let's fire this. Just see here, remote connection is configured. Now we can fire any Gremlin query, but we should remember that if we fire any Gremlin query here, it would not be provided to the server. Just to provide that particular Gremlin query to the server, we need to use this as a prefix to the Gremlin query. This is a simple Gremlin query g.v, where g is a traversal which is used to traverse the graph, and v is just the function which is getting or which is grasping all the vertices in the graph. As of now, we don't have any vertex in the graph, so we didn't get any output. So let's check, does this query is really going to the server? To do so, let's just go back to the logs. Just see this log. This log says that query requires iterating all the vertices. For better performance, use indexes. It just wants us to use the indexes. But this log is the evidence that the query is given to the server. Let's just go back. Just see here, if we don't want to use this particular prefix in all the commands that we fire on this console, then what we need to do is we just need to switch the mode of this console using this command. Just see here is, after this command, we can see the log, all script will now be sent to the Gremlin server. And which Gremlin server all the script will be sent is, that is our localhost Gremlin server. And it has also stated that just to get back to the normal mode, we can type this again. So now let me just try the query without this prefix. And now let's check the log. Again, the same log. That is, the Gremlin console is sending all the queries, all the scripts that are fired from the console to this server. Let me just add a vertex, and to do so, we just need to fire this command, that is g.addv. This is the vertex label that we are providing. And using this property function, we are just providing the column name and the value of the column. Oops, I think I misspelled the function name. Let's correct it. Let's see here, a new vertex is created with ID 4296. Just don't worry if you're not getting these Gremlin queries. We'll be seeing Gremlin queries in very deep. As of now, we just want to see how we need to connect to a remote Gremlin server using a Gremlin console. Now let's just query this vertex again using g.v. Here we can see that we are getting the vertex. Now let's just return to the local mode using remote.console command again. Let's see here, all the scripts will now be evaluated locally. We can even check this. Let's see here, if we are trying to fire g.v here, the Gremlin is giving us an error that g is not a property, that it is not recognizing g now. So this is an evidence that as of now, this g.v is getting fired locally and not getting transferred to the server. But as we do remote console, All the scripts will now be sent to the Gremlin server. Let's try it again. Just see here, we can get the vertex. Let's just create a simple variable to understand another scenario. The variable is named as user and the value that we need to assign is Javard. Oops, I think we should provide a string Javard. Now we can see that this Javard string is assigned to the user variable. Now let's try to create a vertex using a property user whose value is Javard. To do so, let's just use the following command, that is g.addv. We are adding a person. Name of the column is the name and the value that we need to use is user, which in turn constitutes the value Javard. Simply we are just using a variable instead of a string. Let's fire the command and see, does Gremlin allow us to do that? You can see here, the Gremlin is saying that no such property user, but we just created user having a string Javard in it. So why it is not recognizing this? What Gremlin console is doing here is that each and every command that is given to a Gremlin console is interpreted as a single request which is provided to the Gremlin server. These requests do not have any connection between each other. Just to overcome this, we can also create a connection using a session. And how we need to do is, to understand that, just see here. This was the command that we used to connect remotely to a Gremlin server through a Gremlin console. This here by default creates a sessionless connection. To make it with session, what we need to do is we just need to add session here. Let's just close the established connection using remote close. Now let's just establish the connection again, and this time using session. This is the session ID using which we have configured this. Let's change the mode to the remote console. Let's try to create the variable again. The variable is created. Now let's just try to use this particular variable in the addv function. g.addv, person as label, providing a property that is the column having name and the value as user. Just see here. Now Gremlin console has not given us any error because all the commands that we have fired here are using this particular session. I think now you are clear with how we need to configure a Gremlin server on our local system and how to connect it using a Gremlin console. See you in the next session.